Hello everyone, how are you? In this video, I am going to guide you how to create a Todo API using Django REST Framework. This is going to be an end-to-end tutorial where I will guide you how to create your Django REST Framework project and how to run it and how to demonstrate or run your API using Postman. So right now you can see the Postman window in which we have the Todos API folder, and in this Todos API folder we have 6 endpoints in our API. The get Todos API or the endpoint which is going to get us all the to-dos we have. We also have the facility of pagination in this API. So you can see we can provide the page number and we can get the result based on the page number. We also have an endpoint which is going to tell us what is the to-do at a particular ID, or basically search for a to-do using a particular ID. We can delete a to-do using a particular ID. We can post or create new to-do just by providing the title of the to-do. We can put, that is create or update a existing to-do, or if it is not existing then we are going to create it. And also we have patch to-dos which is going to update an existing to-do. So this is like a standard REST API which has all the CRUD operations: creating your data, updating your data, retrieving your data, and deleting your data. Let us go to VS Code where we are going to create our project and we are going to see each and every step of it. So right now you need to focus on this folder DRF learning in which I have my project. The project name is Todo API and we do not have anything inside this. Right now my terminal is pointing to the Todo API folder which is my project. First of all, we actually need to install the Django REST framework, and for that we should have Python installed. If you do not have Python installed, then make sure that you have it. I have already created a video on installation of Python. And if you do not have a lot of knowledge on Django, which is the framework on which the Django REST framework is built, then I would suggest that at least have a basic understanding of Django. And I have already created a playlist which you can see on your screen, the Django Mastery series from zero to hero, where I have created 6 videos, 6 medium-sized videos. So basically, it is going to be over 1 hour content. If you will just utilize all this content, then you will have a very good understanding of Django. And now you can continue learning about Django REST framework. So basically, we are going to create our first API using Django REST framework, and the API name is Todos API. Now, in this folder, we need to create our project files. First of all, we need to install the Django REST framework. For that, we need to run the command pip install, then Django REST framework. Hit enter, wait for some time. It is going to install the DRF or the Django REST framework in your system. Once the installation is done, we are going to create our Django REST project. So we can see successfully installed Django and Django REST framework. Let me clear the console. And now let me create the project. So let's name the project as Todo API. So you can create a folder named as Todo API anywhere where you want to create a project. And inside that, you just need to make sure that your terminal is pointing to that particular folder. And inside that, run the command Django admin space start project space Todo API space dot. Make sure that you have this dot if you are creating your project inside the folder. What this will do is it will just create your project configuration folder and the managing folder, the manage.py file. It is not going to create a folder named as Todo API inside which it is going to create your project configuration file. No, it is just going to create a project configuration file. Let me hit enter and wait for some time. And now you can see we have this Todo API here, right? This is our project configuration folder, and we have the manage.py. This is our project management file. If you do not include this dot, it will actually create this folder Todo API, inside which it will again create this Todo API and the manage.py file. So we already had this folder, right? Now we have our project configurations ready. We have our initial setup of the project. But now we need to create an app in our project. This is how Django works. Django works and operates on the application. So to create an app, we need to say Django admin space start app space. Let's name the app as to-dos. Hit enter, wait for some time. It is going to create an application folder to-dos, right? Now, first of all, we need to define a model or a table, right? Basically, when we say table, I'm mentioning the SQL table in which we are going to store our to-dos. Okay. So let's go to this to-dos folder in which we have this models in which we are going to create our to-do model. So now we have to create our to-do model. For that, you just remove this comment. You can remove this comment and say class to-do. Let's name our model as to-do, and this is going to have a parent class as models.model. This is how Django works. This is how we need to create a model or basically a database table using Django ORM. Now our to-do is going to have some fields. So we are going to have the title of the to-do. We are going to have done. Done is the status of the to-do, that is it done or not. Initially or by default, it is going to be false. It's not done. The moment it is created, it should be false. And also let's have some meta fields like created and updated. which is going to store the details of when the to do was created and when was it last updated. And the title will be models dot char field. This is going to be a char field or a var in terms of SQL, and it is going to have a maximum length of, let's say, 200 characters. Done is going to be a boolean field, true or false, right? Is it done or not? So by default, this should be true. The moment it is created, should be true, not true, but false. Excuse me for that. It should be false. Whenever a to do is created, it should be false, right? It is not done. It will be done later on. What about created? So we can say it is a date time field. So models dot date time field. In this, we have the functionality auto now add, which is true. So basically, the moment this to do is created, the field created will be stored at the current time and will not change later on. But the updated field can change actually. This is also going to be a date time field. Let me copy this. But this facility of auto now add should not be true. It should actually be auto underscore now equal to true. So anytime this particular model or the data is updated, then the updated field will be updated with the current time. So every time you update your data, the updated field will automatically be updated. So now our model is created, our table is created. Inside this table, we are going to store our data, right? Now there is a concept of serializers. Go to your to-dos folder, create a file and name the file as serializers.py. Now what is this serializer? You need to understand. Basically, when we say serializer, it is something which allows any complex data such as your query sets. You get your queries, right? Query sets when you query your data from the model, or I can say the model instances. When we create a model, then every data is a model instance. Every time we make a query to the database, we get a query set. So this is a complex data type. It is not a Python native data type. It is not like a Python list or dictionary or a JSON. It is a complex SQL based or a database based query set or model instances. And we need to convert it to Python specific native data types. And we have to serialize the data for this. So once you make a request to the model to get your data, it is going to give you a query set. You can convert that query set to Python native data type using serializers. And you can also convert your Python native data type back to query sets using deserialization, using the serializers only. So to create a serializer, you have to say from, let me delete this, and you have to say from REST framework, we need to import something called as serializers. All right. Now, once the serializers is imported, you need to say class, and let's make the serializer class and name this as to do serializer. This particular serializer is basically for to do model serializer, and the parent class of this is going to be serializers dot hyperlinked model serializer. Basically, this is a serializer which links a model to a serializer. This is specifically for a model serializer. That is, if you have model type of data, if you have database table type of data, and you want to serialize the data to Python native data type, use this particular serializer. So we created a to-do serializer. In this, we need to provide some details. In the class meta, right? We have to provide what is the model on which you are working on. So the model is actually going to be this to-do, right? So we need to import this in our serializers file. So I can say from dot models import to-do, right? And I can say the model we are using is to-do. What are the different fields you want in your output when you actually serialize your data? So our model has some fields like title, done, created, updated, right? Let's do one thing. Let's actually get all the fields. For that, we have a shortcut. The fields value will actually be a string, and the value of this string is going to be underscore underscore all underscore underscore, right? So our to-do serializer is also ready. Now the next thing is we need to update, we need to add the code in our view sets, right? So for this, we need to go to views. In the views, you can just delete all the data you have. And then from REST framework, we need to import something called as view sets. Using the view sets, we are going to create a view, an API view kind of thing, which is going to provide us with the endpoints like slash to do, which is going to allow get, post, delete, patch, put, all these methods, right? So let's create a class and call this as to do view set. This is going to have a parent class as viewsets.model view set. Basically, now this view set, to do view set, is basically for a model to allow and to create an API endpoint to show a model's data. The model which we are going to use is the to do model, right? So we need to import the to do model here as well. So we can say from dot models import to do, right? This is for to do endpoint, right? Now, what is the query which you want to perform? If you want to fetch the data, what is the query you want to perform? So we could simply say query set will be equal to todo dot, it should be todo, so todo dot objects dot all. We are fetching all the to-dos and we need to order the to-dos by any field. So let's order this by something called as created. We have a created field here, right, in the to-do. So let's order all the data we are fetching using the created column. Next is, what is the serializer class you want to use when creating the output? So I want to use the to-do serializer, right? So we actually need to import this. So let's import this. So we can say from dot serializer import the to-do serializer. So I can say to-do serializer. Now, if you're confused, let me simply say you are creating a model, a serializer for the model, and you are doing the link up of these models and serializers in the views file, where the actual data will be served. The actual data is actually getting served using the model view set, which provides us endpoints like get, post, put, delete, patch. If I just go to the model view set, it provides us a way to create data, to retrieve data, update data, destroy a model, list all the data, and it also imports generic view set, right? So we got our query set, we got our serializer class, and now I think our views is ready. We only need to add the URL now, right? So you need to go to the project configuration folder called as Todo API. In the Todo API, go to URLs, and I would say just remove all the things from the import. Just remove everything. Just keep the URL pattern here, and from the REST framework, add something called as or import something called as routers. And from dot views, it should not be dot views. I think it should be from to-dos. From to-dos, that's our app. We need to import the views because we need this view set, to-do view set, right? Now let's create a router. This is a separate router. Basically, generally using Django, we provide our path in the URL patterns. We are going to provide our path in the URL patterns, but we are going to create our route or the path for our API using a router. This router is imported from the REST framework. This REST framework is actually the Django REST framework, okay? So don't get confused. Now, this router should actually be equal to, I think it should be routers dot default router. So it should be routers dot default router. So we created a default router and we need to register our API endpoint. So I would like to say that my API endpoint will be served under to-dos, the to-dos endpoint. So I can say my endpoint is going to be to-dos, and who is going to serve the data in this to-dos? It should be views dot to-do view set. All right. So this is going to serve the data, and now I can just use this router to create a path in my URL patterns. So let's get rid of this. In this, let's create a path and name the paths starting as API slash, and it is going to include all the URLs from router dot URLs, right? This router does have all the URLs. All right, so we actually need to import this include and path as well. So I can say from Django import URLs, and not URLs, it should be from Django dot URLs import something called as path, which is going to create the path, and something called as include as well. So comma include. So now our URL looks good as well. Now before we actually run the code, you need to go to the settings and have these apps which you are using in your installed apps as well. So in the installed apps, first of all, add the Django REST Framework app, which is actually named as Django REST underscore framework, and another app is Todos, which we have created. Now, if I just want to run the code, I can just go to the terminal. I should be inside the folder Todo API and run the command python space manage.py. And before I actually run the server, let's actually, I would say, migrate our database. All right. So whenever we create a new model, we have to do the migration. Otherwise, the model will not be available in our app. So we need to say make migration. First of all, make the migration. It will try to create the migration. So we can see we have to create the to-do model. And now we need to actually create the to-do model. For that, we need to say python space manage.py space migrate. Wait for some time. It will be done very quickly. Now you will find a db.sqlite3 file. Clear the console. Run the server. Python space manage.py space run should be space run server. Hit enter. Wait for some time. It is going to run the server at this particular endpoint. Now go to Postman or any software or any place where you can make your API calls. I would suggest use Postman. If you have not installed it now, you can install it. You can find the link of the installation of Postman in the description as well as at the I link as well. So now go to Postman, and now let's go to each of the endpoints provided by our API one by one. The first API, the first endpoint in our API is the slash to-dos endpoint, which is going to provide all the to-dos we have as of now in our data. So the endpoint is actually going to be http://127.0.0.1 colon 8000 at the port slash API slash to dos. Hit enter, should be a get request, hit enter, and now you will get an empty response because as of now we do not have any to do, which is fine, but we are getting the response, right? That's the main thing. Now try to understand the flow. The moment you are hitting this API, it is going to your app. in your project configuration folder in the urls.py file, and in this it saw that we have a path. We have a path starting with API slash, but now this is including another URL routing. This router.url says that my path starts with to-dos. So now try to understand this. When you say this is your API posted at this particular domain, then we have slash API, then we have this slash API, and then we have slash to-dos. So we have slash to-dos. And your path with a slash, hit enter, and you will get your response. So since we do not have any to-dos, let's actually create it. Go to post to-dos. And if you are wondering how to create this kind of collection or this kind of folder in which we have all these requests, so just create a collection. Just go to Postman, create a new, I would say, collection. Once you have a collection created, in that collection you can have your endpoints directly, or you can use a folder like I'm using. I'm using a to-dos API folder. This is my collection. In this collection, I can click on three dots and add a folder. I have added a folder named as to-do API, in which I have all my paths. Get to-dos by ID, delete to-dos by ID, post to-dos, put to-dos by ID, and patch to-dos, right? So this is my API. Let's actually demonstrate it. First of all, let me create some to-dos. So you need to go to your API. Your API endpoint is http://127.0.0.1:8000 /API /to-dos, and make a post call. Keep it raw and select it as JSON. We need to provide a JSON data, and let's provide a title. Let's say the title is Learn Python. Send it. Okay, so it says that done. This field is required. So the done field is required as well, but I think that done field should actually not be required because we have already set the default there. So let's try to see what's happening. Okay, so we have not set the default, right? If you see the done field, this is a Boolean field. We have not set any default data here. Let's make sure that it is default equal to false. I think I typed it here, but somehow it got deleted. So since we have done the change in the model, we have to remigrate our data. So let me just stop the server and do the migration part again. Make migrations and then migrate the data, and then run the server again. And let's go back and let's create the to-dos. If I just send the request again, this is going to create my to-dos, and you can see we have the URL of this to-do at this particular endpoint, which is basically /API /to-do/1. So the to-do ID is 1. The to-do title is Learn Python. We have a done field, we have a created and updated field, which is same as of now, which is I think 21st of October around 6:36 p.m. So we have one to-do created. Let's create one more, Learn Django, right? Send it. One more is created, and let's create one more and name it as Learn Django REST Framework, DRF. All right, send it. So we got three different to-dos, right? Now let's go to the get to-dos endpoint and hit it. So this is going to give you all the three to-dos. You can see we got a list in which we have one, then we have two, and then we have three. All the three to-dos: Learn DRF, Learn Django, Learn Python. Now what about the get to do by ID? So you can go to get to do by ID endpoint. In this you have to say /API /to-dos to your domain, which is this one, /API /to-dos / the to-do ID. So let's keep the to-do ID as one slash and save this, hit enter, and you will get the to-do with the ID 1. You can also get the to-do with the ID 2. And if you try a to-do with the ID 12, which doesn't exist, then you are going to get a 404 not found error. And the message is no to-do matches with the given query. So your API is behaving perfectly as per the REST standards. Let's delete some to-dos. So if I want to delete a to-do, I can just go to the same endpoint, which is used to fetch a to-do by particular ID, which is /API /to-dos/1 or / whatever is the ID. Let's try to delete the to-do with the ID 2. So I can just make it 2, hit enter, and now you can see that 204 no content. This means that your to-do is deleted, right? Now if I try to fetch the to-do by ID with the ID as 2, I won't be able to get it. It still says that no to-do matches the given query. And if I try to get all the to-dos, then you will see that we just have two to-dos here, right? Looks good. Now what about put to-dos? Put to-dos is used to update a to-do if it exists, and it is used to create a to-do if it does not exist, right? So let's try this. We know that a to-do with ID 2 doesn't exist, right? We actually deleted it. We have Learn Python, Learn DRF. We do not have the Learn Django. So I can use this put with this particular endpoint /API /to-do/to-do ID. Now 2 doesn't exist, right? The ID 2 doesn't exist. It is deleted. Let's give it a title as Learn Django again, right? So let's make it Learn Django again. Save this, send the request, and now you can see that no to-do matches the given query. If I want to update a to-do with this particular ID, we do not have that to-do, right? So if I want to update a to-do with a particular ID, it doesn't even exist, then we are going to get an error. But we can just keep it like this. /API /to-dos, hit the endpoint, and now it says that method put is not allowed. So you need to make a request to the method put with the to-do ID. And let's say we make the to-do ID as 3, or let's say we make the to-do ID as 4. Hit the endpoint, should be a slash as well. Hit the endpoint, and again you will get that no to-do matches the given query. So if you want to make use of the put endpoint, then you will have to use a to-do which exists, right? It is 3. So we have this 3, and let me send this. And now it says that the to-do number 3, it has the title as learn Django again. Done is false. This is the created. It was created at 6:37, updated at 6:40, right? Now, what about the patch to-dos? If I just try to get all the to-dos, I still have 2 to-dos, right? What about the patch to-dos? So if I try to patch a particular to-do, let's say the to-do is 2, which doesn't exist, I know. And let's try to make the done field for this as true. So let's say done is true. I know that it doesn't exist, but let's send the request. And now you will see that no to-do matches the given query. Now, if I just make it as 3 and send the request, so now you will see that the to-do with the ID 3 done field is true. It got updated at 6:41, and now you can see if I just send the request, we got a to-do with done equal to true. The to-do ID is 3. So you can see that the patch is working. Now you might question that what's the difference between put and patch. So I think in put, you need to add the field, you need to provide the field title, which is a required field. So if I just remove the title from here and try to update the to-do with ID 3, which exists, I send a request. Now you will see that it is asking for the title. But when you try to patch it, you can partially update your data. So here you do not need to provide the required field title, right? You can update any particular field, but in put you have to completely update your data. So I think that's the difference between put and patch. All right, I think we are good with all the endpoints. Just few things which I want to help you on is providing pagination, and in your response for a particular to do, you cannot see the field ID here, right? Although it does have ID, an auto-generated field in Django models. So I would just tell you a very simple way to do it. You just need to go to the serializers, and you can see that we are saying that, hey, I want all the fields in the response. Let's not have it as all. Let's create a list, and in the list, I can say we have a field called as ID. I want the ID. I want the title. I want something called as done. I want something called as created. I want something called as updated. And before the created, updated, I want the URL as well. I want all these fields. So here, all these fields were coming. I now included ID as well, right? So now let me just go back to Postman. And if I just make the get request again, you will see that it does include the ID as well. Apart from title, done, URL, created, and updated, it has the ID as well, right? All right. Next thing, the last one is how to have pagination. Right now you can see we have two data, all two data is coming in the same page. What if we have millions of data? All the million of data will come in the same page, in the same request, and this is going to take a lot of your memory, and it is going to take a lot of time to response. Now, a simple pagination way can be go to the views file. In the views, since this is the class which is handling the response part, whenever you are making a request, what you can simply do is you can just say from REST framework dot pagination import something called as page number pagination. Now create a class to do pagination. This is going to have a parent class as page number pagination and have a field called as page size is equal to, let's say, 2. So in one page, only 2 data will come, not more than that. And as a field in the to do view set, provide the pagination. I think it is something called as pagination class. The pagination class will be to do pagination. So now the pagination is added to your response. Now go to Postman, go to slash to do slash API slash to do endpoint, hit enter. Now you will see some more responses. We have the count as 2, we have total 2 data. We do not have next page, we do not have a previous page, and the result is having 2 data. What if I just include one more data? Let's say I go to post to dos and I say, let's say the title is subscribe to my channel. Okay, subscribe to my channel. All right. Uh, that's a good task. Send it. The task is created. The ID is 4. Now, if I go to get to those, send it. Now you will see that we have got 3 results. Total count is 3, but the result is having only 2 data, the ID 1 and the ID 3. But we have a next page. We have to say page equal to 2. So I can say question mark, which is a query parameter way, which is a way to provide a query parameter. I would say page is equal to 2. Save this, hit endpoint, and now you will see at the page number 2 we have the fourth ID data, which is subscribe to my channel, stat on tech. So I think that's it for this video, guys. This video has explained you everything you need to get started with Django REST framework and create a very simple API called as Todo API. Now, this Todo API is not actually a very simple one. I would say you are implementing a really, I would say, structured project, and everything is very robust. And you have all the REST standards as well. You have the get, delete, post, put, patch, all the endpoints, right? And the response looks good as well. And we have not done a lot of configuration. Everything is managed by the Django REST framework. It's that we should know how to use it. So again, guys, that's it for this video. If this video has helped you to understand the whole process, then make sure that you hit that like button. And if you have not subscribed to my channel as of now, then make sure that you do so. And if you have any questions, put it in the comment box. I will surely provide you an answer. And I will see you guys in the next video. I want to see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching this one.